Good evening. I'd like to call the Board of Commissioners work session for March 3rd, 2026 to order. Please stand for the pledge. Deanna, will you please do the roll call?
Rebecca Moody, President.
Here.
Denise Hall, Vice President.
Here.
Catherine Carter, Commissioner.
Here.
Gregory Mull, Commissioner.
Here.
Megan Hurst, Assistant Township Manager.
Here.
Greg Heleniak, Township Solicitor.
Here.
Nicholas Cross, Township Engineer.
Here.
David Duffy, Chief of Police. Here. Ryan Shapiro, Finance Director. Here. David Conroy, Zoning Officer. Here. And it is noted that Commissioner Liz McNaney and Township Manager Sandra Zadell are absent.
Thank you. Now I'll pass the meeting over to Mrs. Hurst.
So first on the agenda, we do have a presentation this evening. Earlier this year, the end of last year, we had our facility subcommittee involved in potential renovations for this building for our HVAC system, and then some safety upgrades to our public meeting room, our board rooms, and then having a dedicated IT area in the public meeting room. So this evening, we have Mr. Chris Haller from Boyle Construction. He's going to be presenting phase 2. And at this time, this is just for informational purposes. And if you have any thoughts or feedback after his presentation.
Good evening. Good evening. How is everyone tonight? Thank you for having us here. We're very excited to be working with the township on this project. I'm going to start the project off, but with me I do have Sandy Zabo with Boyle Construction, who's going to get into some of the particulars with the space. And we also have Nick Kantz with Snyder Hoffman Associates. He is our mechanical, electrical, and plumbing consultant for this project. So obviously the agenda is we want to go through the scope, talk about some of the HVAC options that were discussed. We have a preliminary budget put together and an estimate on the timeline that it would take to do this work. One of the things we always like to do is define goals for any of the projects we do. And we just listed a couple here where we want to make sure that we're creating a healthy environment for the staff that works in the building and anybody who may visit the building. And with any public entity, we always want to be good stewards of the taxpayers' dollars. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Sandy and let her walk you through some of the pretty stuff.
Thanks, Chris. All right, I guess this thing is on. All right, hello, everyone. I guess last year, Upper Gwynedd Township's administration, they approached us about some potential upgrades to this space, the boardroom, as well as the lobby and a couple of the adjacent spaces. You can see on the plan up on the monitor there, anything shaded in gray we did not look at it as part of the architectural portion of this project. Anything in white up there, those are the areas that we studied as architecturally for this. You can see the township administration's on the left, the police department's on the right, and we focus mainly on the center of the building here. We were told the meeting room, I understand the AV and sound system could use some improvement. Circulation is a little bit awkward due to some of the configuration of the raised dais here, as well as these walls. There was interest in potentially adding an exit door to provide an additional egress out from up here on the dais out. And the IT equipment is just sitting on a table right now, and there could be a better storage for it. As for the lobby, we were told that yes, yeah, it's just sitting there unsecured. So we could do better. We think we could do better. As for the lobby, we were told the meeting room doors here, these main doors in, are kind of a bottleneck, and that these two closets are less of a priority than trying to connect the space more to the lobby. We were told it would be nice to have AV capability out there in the lobby as well as here. So that way, for instance, if you have a meeting that you need overflow, that the people out there could hear it as well. And if you put a video monitor on the wall, they could see it as well. We were requested to add a few additional monitors in here so both audience and you could see. We looked at a couple ways to do that. Let's see, what else did we do? The other big thing was, you can flip to the next, there you go. Okay, now you can see the areas we're working. The areas shaded in pink are more of gathering and meeting and assembly spaces. The areas shaded in yellow are circulation spaces, and the areas shaded in blue are just general office and staff spaces. So you see, we did a couple studies, and we ultimately landed on this as the option everybody was leaning towards. What we did in the meeting room, could you go to the next slide, please? Yes, perfect, thank you. Yeah, this is a zoomed in version of what you just saw on the previous slide. Here in the meeting room, we proposed replacing this existing low wall and your current days and your table situation with custom curved millwork that could be made bullet resistant for added safety if you prefer that. That also allows additional circulation behind and around. We ended up we eliminated those two closets in the back, and we replaced them with a couple of doors. You could have doors either solid. We showed them glazed so you could get more light into the space, but the exact type of door could be determined later. We also added an exit door out into the police side, but we created a vestibule so that way if any bad actors got through there, they couldn't get any further into the police side. That was one of the concerns, that was security from this space and from the lobby. You don't want people accidentally or intentionally getting into the other spaces in the building, either on the admin side or on the police side. So that's what we were trying to address with some of the circulation changes in this plan. One of the things we also did with that exit is we blew out a window on the back and we put a prefab metal stair to get out so it could be an egress if necessary. Oh yeah, you could. You can be Vanna, thank you. Chris is going to be Vanna for us. We also added where your monitors now, unfortunately, would need to be moved, but we added a small IT space for this IT equipment and table with a window into this space, so you can look and you can do what you're doing now. The sound system here would also be upgraded, if I didn't say that already. On this side, the biggest other thing we looked at two different configurations, keeping this raised dais or eliminating it. We built a 3D model to see, just if it would make a difference, and surprisingly, it did not. If you're sitting here, we toggled back and forth between the two of them, it would be better circulation-wise to eliminate this step up, which means you can get rid of this ramp. It makes it a lot easier when you go through to the other side. You don't have to have ramp down to the main floor. We tried a version with it raised, and it wasn't working very well. You had to add a lot of ramps and things to get it to work, and everything just barely fit, and it would add costs to the project. So that's part of why we got rid of it.
The other piece of that is ADA access. So with the raised platform, having the ramp up, as you can see here, you're not going to get a wheelchair.
Right.
So any new construction, we would have to be able to address that.
Mm-hmm.
So the ramp couldn't go down on that side. The ramp would have to be further out so that you would actually be able to maneuver around behind there with a wheelchair. So those were some of the restrictions.
And I'm sorry to interrupt you. Do you mind using a microphone?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
To the podium, just that the viewers at home can hear too.
Okay. Actually, yeah, that would be great. Okay. Okay.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
One of the other issues that we were running into with doing the raised platform was making sure we were meeting the ADA requirements for the current building codes. We would have to make sure that we could maneuver a wheelchair around behind the seats and everything. And as you can see with your current setup, being able to maneuver a wheelchair doesn't work. So the ramp down that we currently have would have to move outside to the other side of this wall. And then the same condition would happen in the opening that would go out to the police department side. So that's with that, and then realizing that a 6-inch rise really did not change the view, noticeably change the view for those of you sitting up here looking out to the audience. It was determined to not go with the raised platform for those reasons.
The yellow is circulation. Pink spaces are assembly and meeting spaces. Yellow is circulation spaces such as lobbies, corridors, vestibules, and the blue spaces are office and staff spaces.
So earlier when you said something about a ramp or steps down, where were you referring that to?
There and there. Would you be able to access, so currently we only have access back here through one side. I can't tell, is it intended to have access to from both sides? Okay.
Yes, it is. It's hard to see on that plan. You'd have to really zoom in, but the dais is symmetrical and it's curved so everybody can see, so the people in the corners can also see what's going on. And we got rid of, you see how the wall there just kind of goes and ends and you have to walk all the way around? We eliminated that short piece of wall so you could circulate around the entire thing.
Is it okay if we ask questions now, or do you have more? Sorry. Okay.
It's okay.
Okay, so can you explain all the reasons why you wanted to be curved, want our seats to be curved?
One of the concerns that was brought up was that it's hard to see the people in the corners here. Visibility isn't as good. So, and also it allows easier access behind it.
So those are the two reasons. It was for visibility,
For
the
visibility.
audience to be able to see,
And
and as
for-
well as for access, especially with the ADA being
Yes.
able. Those are the two reasons. Okay.
Yes.
It was more visibility between the members sitting at the table.
So you could see out into the audience.
Oh,
So
for
you
the-
can see each other.
Yeah,
so we could see each other
yeah.
better.
Because right now, you, Ms. Carter, you might have trouble seeing Mr. Mole because you're going to be doing one of these.
Right.
So if it's curved, you have a better chance of just kind of looking around at each other rather than all the way across.
Right. So my concern though about the not being raised
Mhm.
is not for us, it's for the audience. So I attend a lot of public meetings in township buildings. And anytime the people who are speaking, people who are up front and is similar to us, are level with the audience, it's terrible for the audience. Because you just want to see the people who are talking, right? When you come to a meeting. And when they're level in the audience, you have to do all that to try to see them, because there are so many blocks visually of the rest of the audience members in front of you. I don't think we need, I don't think that we need to be maybe as high as it is, or with this big rail and all the pomp and circumstance. That's not why I think it's important. But I do think it's important to have us be a little bit elevated, because it's just an annoyance for the audience members to not be able to see us, especially if we have overflow out there.
Duly noted.
So we did look at several options, and that was one of the options. I believe all of them did have the curved desk, but we could certainly go back and take a look at more of a rectangular shaped space and see how that lays out with the ADA access and the ramp.
I don't think the curve is the problem. I was just curious why,
I think-
what the reasons were for the curve. I just think that there definitely needs to be some sort of elevation for us to make it easier for anyone who's coming to any meeting here that needs to pay attention to what's going on here.
I think they were saying too, though, that the way that it looks up here, right, wrong, or indifferent, is that it's not ADA accessible if we raise this.
So maybe there's a way that we don't raise it as much as it is raised now, or just something. I just think to be flush with the audience is a mistake.
Okay, we'll go back and take a look at that.
Okay.
It does add costs,
Mhm.
but certainly if that's something that you want to take a look at, the costs aren't identified today. What we have today is just showing you basically what we have here. We'll work with your administration and go back and take another look at it, and
Okay.
we can return.
Great.
One of the other things that we discussed, because I sat in on a couple of those meetings as well, along with Commissioner Liz McNaney, is egress in case there is an emergency too with the curve. That was one of the third reasons as well, because right now we'd be kind of trampling each other should there be an emergency in the building, and to be able to have 2 lines of exit would be great. And I think there's a slide at the end of your presentation that kind of shows a vantage point from sitting in the back at a low level. If there's people sitting in the back or beyond the second row, if they're filling there, they can't see me anyways. They're looking through each other as it is. They're not able to see my face. Like Brian right now, you can't see me if I'm sitting over here. You know, you have to do that. Yeah. But if you had other audience members filling those chairs, whether we're raised or not, you can't see me.
So I agree with what you were saying regarding the curve. If you remember our training here, I think it'd be very different with that. I have questions about the yellow area on this side here. It's great that there's an emergency exit like that. I just want to know, our IT person is allowed in the police station. And an emergency, people can go out that way. Otherwise, there can't be anyone but police access from that yellow area into the parts of the station. Can you explain that?
Yeah, so the secure area to keep everyone out of the police department area would be this door and this door. I mean, we could lock that door too. So in an emergency, if the people in this room need to exit, their only option is to go outside.
We were not touching that as part of this project. If you wanted to do something with it, we certainly could look at that, but that was not going to be part of this project.
No, that's fine. And the remaining area, we decommissioned ourselves, so we're using that primarily for storage, and we'll continue to do so. So that's fine. All right, thank you. Those are my questions. Thanks.
You're welcome. I think we can go on to some of the other slides. There you go. We created this. Here you can see a 3D model. This is, we only modeled the areas of the building that we were looking at as part of this study. So you can see the meeting room in the middle. Also, you'll notice that the interior finishes in this 3D views are very generic. They were created just to get an overall sense of the spaces. We weren't looking at what type of wood we're using, what paint colors. This is just conceptual, and that level of detail would come later should this ever become a complete project. You can go on to the next slide, please. Thanks. Here's a view of the lobby. We have, again, some generic furniture. You could certainly add a video monitor in here. It's not shown, but you could add one. You can see the 2 closets were eliminated in here, and by doing that, you could add additional doors, so you have less of a bottleneck at this door here. You can next slide. And that's just a view looking the other way. And next one. This is a 3D rendering of the boardroom. It's hard to see the curved dais, but it's that low wall behind the podium where I'm standing now. You can see we added some high video monitors. We added a door, it's visible in the back, into the vestibule, the new vestibule space on the police side. And you can see the IT window in that view. Next slide, please. This would be the curve of the not raised dais. It is not raised in any of these. This would be the view you would see roughly from that corner back there. You can see on the left, the IT window, the new door, the egress is just off this left-hand side of that page. And you can see the condition of the back there. We had to leave a soffit up high because there is some mechanical up there and we didn't want to mess with that. Next slide, please. And this is a view from any of the commissioners sitting at the dais. This is roughly what you would see. We did a nearly identical view with the 6-inch step and it was virtually unchanged. We toggled back and forth. I kind of wish we brought it, but we didn't. But you would have to go to really get a difference in height. You would have to go higher with this floor, which would create additional challenges with accessibility and ramps, and exiting on the other side. You would need a longer ramp down because it has to be accessible. Next slide.
Yeah, so to have an accessible for an accessible ramp, it needs to have 1 inch of rise for every 12 inches in distance. So a 6-inch step would require a 6-foot long ramp. If you went to 2 6-inch steps, 12 inches high, that ramp would be 12 feet long. So just to give you an idea of, as you raise the platform area, those ramps really extend into the other areas within the space.
As part of this renovation, we also looked at the small and large conference rooms, which are on the other side of this wall. We don't have the plan up right now, but right now you can get in from the lobby, and if you could kind of inadvertently wander into those two spaces. The layout in the conceptual design eliminates that by moving the corridor creates a corridor on the other side, and also creates an exterior exit to the rear porch back there. You can go to the next one. That is one of the concerns we had was mentioned was that there's not really a good break room area. So we flip-flopped an admin office adjacent to your township manager, and we moved her to a different location with a window because she doesn't currently have a window. And we turned that space into the break room, which you see there. And that covers the architectural portion of this. I can turn it over to Nick Cates from Snyder Hoffman Associates to discuss the HVAC systems.
Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for inviting me out this evening to talk about your HVAC system. So we put together a few slides here. We're going to start off just by talking about, oh, sorry. Okay. We'll start off with a couple slides. Start off kind of just talking about the current system, the condition it's in, what are the struggles, issues that we're having, and then move on to potential solutions. So the current system, what's been reported is that the system that's serving is unable to provide a reliable and comfortable operation. Based upon what I've witnessed, the reports are matching with what I'm seeing based on the age of the system, based on the kind of system that it is. Consists of kind of several major components. First part would be the boiler, which was installed in 2003. It's in fair condition, but it's kind of getting near the end of its useful life. The boiler is doing the heat for the building. Then throughout the facility, there is blower coil units, which are located above the ceiling. There's probably about 20, 25 of them in the building. They move air around, hot air in the winter, cool air in the summer. Those units are also connected to condensing units that you've seen outside the building. There's a picture of them here. And there is refrigerant piping that goes between those indoor units and the outdoor units that rejects the heat, cools down the air. As you can see from the picture, the condensing units are in poor condition. Typically, any HVAC equipment that's located outside, you usually get about 15 years out of it. So you've definitely gotten good use out of this equipment, but it's really at the end of its useful life. Beyond just simply being old and broken down, they use R22 refrigerant, which is no longer manufactured. It's hard to get. It's getting expensive to get. You can really only get it when it's been recycled from another piece of equipment. So that makes, when these older components break down, it makes it harder and more expensive to actually service it. One of the things in the facility that popped out to me is that many of the offices and spaces share a thermostat. It was common 20, 25 years ago when this facility was designed. But, any newer township police buildings that I've been involved with, I did a project for Plymouth Township, for Upper Dublin Township. It's kind of become the standard that all of these facilities Every office gets its own thermostat. It sort of helps with individuals who have different needs for temperatures, and those are sensing devices as well. And every room has a different profile, depending, does it have a window, does it have a computer in it? That tends to affect things. And modern expectation tends to favor having individual thermostatic control. In addition to the boiler, the blower coils, there's also cabinet heaters and there's fin tube radiation. So that's all hydronic. That's all fed by our boiler. That equipment is fair. It's also kind of getting to the end of its useful life, but it is simple equipment. It's easy to maintain. There isn't necessarily a need to rip it out unless you really want to, because it's not that difficult to fix. So kind of looking forward, we're recommending that the system be replaced with something modern, reliable, and energy efficient. So we could hop to the next slide if we're ready. So we put together two potential options. Option one is sort of the economical, simple, let's just address the big problems right now kind of thing. So what this is it's a VRF and the boiler. So VRF, if you're not familiar with that technology, variable refrigerant flow, this is something that didn't exist 20, 25 years ago when this facility was built. It's basically heat pump technology where you have the indoor units and they are all tied together through refrigerant piping to a common outdoor unit. And it enables a system to sort of share heating and cooling. It's very efficient. It's up to date kind of with modern technology and expectations. But the idea behind this option is every one of those existing fan coils gets replaced in place with a VRF unit. So the duct distribution, all the other stuff above the ceiling stays. And that makes this a fairly simple and straightforward replacement. It makes it economical, makes it quick, makes it simple and easy. Of course, that also comes sort of with some disadvantages in that you have to keep your current thermostat set up. So you would still have spaces sharing a thermostat. If that's a struggle and something that we're looking to address, this is not going to fix that. It's certainly going to work better just because it's newer, but you'll still have to deal with that part. Another item worth talking about is ventilation air. I should have brought it up earlier. So the way the current system is set up, a little bit of outside air is brought into the return of every unit. It's based upon what was required by code back when this facility was constructed, and it's about 25% of what current code requires. So in order to have really great indoor air quality, as the current code requires, you want to increase that amount of outside air, but we would not be able to do that with this setup. Those indoor fan coil units are just not meant for that. So other disadvantages, compared to the other unit, of course, if it's cheaper to put in, it just ends up costing you more in the long run in order to operate it. And this setup, this option was sort of based on the idea of, let's keep the boilers and the terminal units. The boilers are old. We're going to have to do something with them, but it's not screaming at us just yet. The township has done a really nice job of maintaining that equipment as far as I could tell. So we could move on to option two if we're good. Okay, so this would be more like the ideal solution. This would be more like the solution if you came to me and said, we're going to build a brand new township building. How should we do this? This would be the system that I would be recommending if we kind of wanted to start over from scratch. And of course, starting over from scratch means you're getting rid of the whole existing HVAC system, which means all the ceiling tiles have to come out. It's much more invasive. As kind of part and parcel to that, what ends up happening is, the lights are old. If we're going to take them down, it's not that expensive. We might as well put new lights back in again. So lighting replacement just ends up becoming part of this. And as far as the details on how the system itself works, the boiler's gone, everything associated with that. Again, it's a VRF heat pump technology, but instead of it sort of being this hybrid approach of using heat pump and boiler, it's all heat pump now. So more energy efficient. If not burning fossil fuels is a goal, this does not burn any fossil fuels. The other advantage that this system has is it uses a dedicated outdoor air unit. What that's going to enable us to do is it's going to enable us to bring in more outside air, kind of to be more caught up with modern standards and expectations. It's going to enable us to treat that outside air, to dehumidify it and to filter it to a greater level, which will help with, particles and things like that in the air. Right. So as Chris just reminded me, in terms of the code book, one thing to consider, this system, if you're going to build a brand new building, you can do this system and it's great. If you tried to do option number 1 in a brand new building, you would not be allowed to. Option number 1 is applicable here because it's a system replacement. So if you're replacing a system, you need to meet the code the day that building was built. So we're kind of able to underperform on option 1 just because it's a replacement. So again, advantages, you're going to get that individual space temperature control. It's going to meet modern expectations. It's going to meet a modern building code as if you were building a brand new facility. Disadvantages, it's going to be more expensive to install. It's going to be more invasive. It's going to disturb your operations on a day-to-day basis more because all the ceilings, all the light fixtures, anything, smoke detectors that are hanging from the ceiling, something has to be done with that. Another disadvantage is that currently your boiler is backed up by the emergency generator. Based upon the documentation that I have, you cannot actually heat the building with the boiler running on the generator, but it kind of gives you something. This system is all electric. So if you wanted to back up all of your heat, you would need a much larger generator. So slight disadvantage there that I thought was kind of worth a discussion. So we could move to the next slide. So we did a 20-year life cycle analysis to sort of think about what does this look like over time. So option number 1 compared to option number 2, construction costs, you can see there's a significant difference there. And that's again because option number 1 is sort of like the Band-Aid, let's fix the issues right now thing. Option number 2 is more of a long-term, sort of better performing option. So there's a significant cost there. Option number 2 does gain quite a bit of ground into maintenance cost. There's a really big jump there on option number 1, and that's because you're going to end up replacing that boiler before 20 years. So I wanted to capture that. And also option number 2 picks up a little bit of speed as well in terms of energy use because there's some savings there. Net, when you get to the end of 20 years, option number 2 is still more expensive, but it's a better system. So, that kind of comes with that system because you're getting that individual space temperature control. You're getting better humidity control. You're getting better filtered air. It's doing more for you. You're getting new LED lighting as well with that option number 2. So, just my expectation or my, experience being a mechanical engineer and designing these systems for other facilities is that, although it's more money, you're going to be happier with option number 2. That's why I had recommended that one. If we got any. Okay.
So I get to bring it home. So looking at all the information, looking at what would be the architectural modifications made as well as the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing systems, because this was very preliminary, we wanted to create a range of costs because we weren't really sure what level of certain products and things would be worked out. So we did a low, median, and high. The median is our estimate, and then we went 15% either direction of that. So you can see with option 1, doing the renovation of the mechanical system, not doing a full replacement. It was roughly $1.3 million in the median, and then 15% in either direction, all in. That does include soft costs and contingencies. Soft costs are fees for design, fees for permitting, things like that. And then we always recommend carrying a contingency. Really important with renovation projects, because when you start opening up walls, you don't know what you're going to find until you find it. So we always recommend carrying a contingency in there just for the what ifs when they come up. Option 2, with the complete HVAC renovation, was roughly $2.4 million, with a 15% swing in either direction, for a low estimate and a high estimate. And then should the township decide to move forward with a project, we're estimating about 6 months of pre-construction services and then about a 3-month construction phase. And as Nick mentioned, option 2 it's more invasive work, but we would work with the township on making sure that was phased. We wouldn't expect everybody in the building to move out, so we could have every space on day one. We would work on the administration side at first, and then maybe the police department side second, and we would try to phase that. So try to minimize the disruption as much as possible through the construction part of it. But both of them are going to be, interruptions, but option 2 is going to be much more invasive. Any other questions? Yes.
Like about 3 slides. That one. My question is, if you choose option 2 and at the end the total is $2,800,000, why is it more if you have all new stuff? Like, you should have less maintenance costs. You have all new stuff.
So the maintenance cost in that chart does go down drastically for option 2, but the overall cost is about $300,000 more between those two numbers. And that's really to address all the things that option 1 is not addressing. If we were to address outside air with option 1, that price would go up much higher. So option 1 is really just replacing the units you have with newer units so that can operate in a very similar condition. Option 2 is addressing all the other things that the system has within the building. Fair?
There's a big, obviously the construction costs are there's a big delta there. And over the 20-year period, option 2 catches up considerably, but it doesn't totally make it. You're right. There is still like roughly a $300,000 difference there. But again, I think the performance advantage over option 2, that's where that value comes into play.
What?
That's where that value of that additional $300,000 really comes in.
Before that, the performance.
From the performance advantage, yes.
What does that mean?
So it's ability to keep you comfortable and its ability to operate economically.
Any other board questions?
The young lady, no one else has any more questions. When I looked at I'm confused about the township manager, admin, and the kitchen and break room.
Could you go back to the floor plan, please? The zoomed in one with the pink, yellow, and blue. Keep going. Keep going. Yep, that one.
Yeah, that's the one I'm looking at.
You're looking at the township on the far left of the plan, the two blue, the township manager's office, the admin office, and the kitchenette break room.
Right.
Yes. Originally, the kitchen and the admin office on the far left were flip-flopped. That L-shaped space that currently is shown in pink, that was somebody's office. And it's, I think Sandra's administrator. And it's an awkward office. The L shape does not lend itself to furniture, and she has no window. At the same time, it was brought up in a couple of the meetings that the current kitchen situation doesn't leave enough room for break room for sitting to eat lunch. So we thought, why not flip-flop those two spaces? By doing so, you can fit a small kitchenette where that office was, relocate the office to where the current kitchen is off the back, and then provide a direct access from your township manager's office to her administrator's office. And so that's why we ended up flip-flopping those.
So how are you extending Deanna's, the current administrative assistant office?
We'll get to that, but one of the other reasons we were able to do that flip-flop between the current break room and the administrator's office, because we're adding that new corridor between the two offices and the two meeting rooms now, conference rooms, that gives the administrative side access to that corridor. So that door that goes out through the current break room is no longer needed, because we have the access to that common corridor between admin and the meeting room, conference rooms.
The door that currently leads outside to the little porch?
Yes.
You're talking about? Okay. Okay, so I know where the extended comes, so the extension comes in from the hallway. That's why it's the L shape. That's where you get the L shape from.
Could you go back a couple slides, please, to one more. There you go. That's your current plan right now. Yeah, you can see that the existing kitchen has a door straight out to that back porch. We closed that off and turned it into a window because if that space becomes an office. And then we moved, can you go forward 3 more slides? I'm sorry. Thank you. Oh, other way. There. We created that yellow vertical corridor running plan, top of the page to the bottom. One of the concerns that was brought up was that people could accidentally circulate from the lobby through those conference rooms and get back to the admin spaces. By basically moving that circulation, closing it off to the public and keeping it on the admin side, that's why that corridor is where it is. And we also we basically took the door from the existing kitchen and moved it down a little bit to where that corridor is. So that becomes the new exterior exit out to the back porch.
I got it now. I couldn't get how you were making the kitchenette into the L shape, but I see it from the hallway. The new hallway is where you get that extension to the L. Okay.
So I'm so excited that you are adding, like you're getting rid of some of the closet and adding more doors, but obviously you still have to have that HVAC in the middle, like you
Right.
can't completely just open the whole thing.
That's correct.
Have you extended this room at all into the lobby? Like, is that what that dotted line is or no?
No, that dotted line that you see there,
Yeah.
that is a soffit. What we would have to do, you see it, you can't really see it here. You can see it if you step right outside those double doors and look up, you'll see that the ceiling is very low there.
Yeah.
The reason the doors do move out. Yeah. Yeah, the doors move forward into the lobby. We moved them forward, but we couldn't get rid of the bulkhead above because there was HVAC up there.
So you couldn't extend this room into the lobby at all, but,
Yeah, the doors move forward. Yep.
oh, so you do extend it a little bit.
A little bit, yes.
Oh, okay.
A
So
little
that
bit.
is showing that that's a little bit into the lobby.
Slightly, yes.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't really extend into the lobby. We got rid of the closet, so you gain space on this side. The best way to explain
Oh, we're
it.
getting closet space, but it's actually,
No, the closet space is gone.
so there's no more closets.
Correct.
So that's what feels like more room in here.
Correct. Okay. Yeah. The doors where Chris is standing now,
Yes.
those double doors would move up to there.
Oh, it'll still be up to there. Okay. But we won't have closets and we'll have actual doors that open. So,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Mhm.
Okay.
Could you go a couple of slides forward, please? I'm sorry, I have you going back and forth. Yep, that one. Thank you. You can see it there on the, yeah, you got it. We added a closet off of the small conference room. Basically, we were also using that closet to prevent people from wandering back like they potentially could do right now with the door situation there. By blocking that off, anybody who's in the main lobby out here needs to go through controlled access doors to get into admin or police. They can't just run back there for whatever reason.
Just so you know, from my perspective, that's an area I'm constantly checking, and I'd be happy not to if it were reconstructed.
Thank you, Chief. Sure. Here.
I just had a general question about the meeting space. I mean, the meeting space currently is used for many smaller committee meetings that the public is part of. Would they not be able to access those conference rooms except through controlled access somehow? Or is there a way for the public committee members to get to those meeting rooms?
You want to take that one?
Yes, so those two meeting rooms would be not be meant for public access meetings. They would be for staff meetings or executive sessions or things like that. All public meetings would be held in this room. Certainly, if you wanted public back in those spaces, if admin had a meeting with someone from the public, or if you had a meeting where someone from the public was there, you could escort them back around to them, but there would be no direct access for them to just walk into those rooms.
So a lot of times we have two meetings scheduled at the same time, sometimes maybe even three. And so we do need public to have access somehow to those boardrooms, whether or not that's through guided access or not, we can look into that. But we do use those for public meetings, smaller
So
public
you do
meetings.
have access from the admin side, so you could do, you could permit access through those and have someone from admin escort them back through there.
So what's the, can you not get out from the back now into the parking lot? Or you can still?
Yes, you can.
So where is can you show me just where is the
So from the admin side with the new corridor,
No.
door that goes out
Oh,
back
okay. That goes into the back.
from the meeting room, there is a door that we adjusted that. So, but that from the back corner here of the meeting room can
Yeah.
get to the exterior.
Yeah.
And then we also added a door that goes towards the police department side, where we would add some stairs and a landing so you could get to the back parking lot out that way
Okay.
also.
Okay.
And also from the vestibule here, you could get into the large conference room. We were calling it the large conference room. I guess you could call it the executive session room I'm not sure exactly what you call it, but you can see the vestibule there. There's a, from this vestibule here, you could get, yeah, there you go. You could get into that large conference room from the meeting room here, but that vestibule is controlled.
On the side meeting room access, we can control that with fobs and the fob system that we already have, or just good old-fashioned keys, as long as staff is only permitted past that other side of the rooms.
Yeah, so maybe we would just have to give more fobs to people who have meetings.
Any other board comments?
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you very much for having us. We appreciate it.
And we will work with administration to address some of the comments and develop some sketches and some renderings to kind of show you what those other things would look like. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
And then for next week, we will have another presentation. We're going to have our county planners in attendance for the playground presentation, and they're going to be presenting the work that they've done with the resident steering committee along with their community engagement efforts. So that presentation will happen at next week's meeting.
Thank you. For item number 6, Mr. Heleniak, have there been any executive sessions?
There have. The board has met in executive session twice. The board met in executive session on February 9th to discuss a matter of litigation. And the board also met in executive session this evening prior to this meeting to discuss a personnel issue.
Thank you. And moving to public comment, I do not have anyone signed up, and I know we have limited representation from the public in the audience. Any public comment? Sure, come on up.
Related to the last presentation. So I'm not sure what the timing is of this whole project, but maybe you could comment on the timing of this project versus the timing for any renovations at the newly acquired church that might be used for public meeting spaces or committee meetings.
So right now, that presentation was just informational only. The board could decide at a later date if they wanted to plan this for like a 2027 capital purchase, or if they wanted to do a portion of this now with the HVAC. There's options, but right now that was just informational only.
Now,
so that'll be an item on the agenda this evening. And then we have Mr. Conroy here this evening for his planning and zoning report.
Good evening, everyone. Regarding planning and zoning this month, we don't have any new zoning hearing board applications. We do have 2 continued zoning hearing board applications from last month. 1327 East Prospect, again, they're just asking for some side yard variances, for a flag lot they created, I guess a year or so ago. It got approved by the board here. So they're looking to put a house on the rear lot of those 2 lots. But they're coming back this month for those side yard variances. And also we had a hearing open this past month for 700 South Broad Street. Since the meeting went so long with other applications, they only had about 20 minutes of testimony heard. So they continued it to a date certain to this month. So we'll continue to hear that application at this month's zoning hearing board meeting. Also, it's not on here, but I do want to mention the Planning Commission meeting next week. We have 2 text amendments, a curative amendment, and our parking standards ordinance will be heard by the Planning Commission next week to see if we get recommendation for you guys to vote on in the future.
question for you. For application 2604, 700 South Broad Street, and I'm not sure if you can answer this yet, or if it, I guess, depends on how far they got in their request. Do they say what the use would be for?
They said their use is for an accessory structure with a commercial kitchen inside of it.
What the commercial kitchen would be for? Like, is that a stupid question?
We did not clearly get an answer at this past hearing.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Yep. That it?
Thank you, Dave. And then Nick, would you like to give your engineering report?
I would love to. Pretty short tonight. Just going to give an update on 2 of the projects that are currently ongoing. So for the Parks and Recreation pole barn, which has been in the works for a while, the bids are going to be open tomorrow. So we're hoping that we get some good bids tomorrow at 10 a.m. And then if all comes in within budget, then that will be on the agenda next week for award. For the 2026 road program, the project design is being finalized, and that is looking to go out to bid next week. And that is all I have tonight. So if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
You said the bid opens tomorrow, and we might have it on the agenda for next meeting or next month?
For next meeting. So it
Wow.
is there's a placeholder on the agenda tonight saying award for next month or for the pole barn, but there's no information on the pricing right now. If the pricing comes in too high or outside of the budget scope, or there's something wrong with the contract documents or the bid documents, then I believe that would just be pulled from next week's agenda and it would be rebid.
Thank you, Nick.
Problem?
And then next week, we will have all of our departmental staff reports. They've been included in this packet, and these will be for consideration under the consent agenda, along with the February 9th meeting minutes. And then we do have a decision item, so I will turn the meeting over to President Moody.
Thank you. Sorry, I should have had this ready. 1 second. Okay, so for item number 12, a motion to approve the proclamation of Women's History Month. I'd like to read the proclamation. Whereas in 1980, President Jimmy Carter issued a proclamation declaring National Women's History Week, which was extended to a month-long celebration beginning in 1988. And whereas the month of March is recognized nationally as Women's History Month, an annual celebration of the vital role of women in American history, culture, and society. Whereas throughout history, women of every race, class, and ethnic background have made invaluable contributions to the growth and strength of our nation in countless recorded and unrecorded ways. Whereas the 2026 theme for Women's History Month is Leading the Change, Women Shaping a Sustainable Future. This theme highlights women who are developing green technologies, advocating for environmental justice, and building economic and social systems that support both people and the planet. Whereas women in Upper Gwynedd Township and across the nation continue to break barriers for equality and shape the future through education, leadership, and service, inspiring individuals of all ages to pursue their dreams and create positive change. Whereas Upper Gwynedd Township recognizes the importance of honoring the remarkable achievements and contributions of women past, present, and future, and commits to supporting initiatives that promote gender equity and empowerment. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners of Upper Gwynedd Township does hereby proclaim the month of March 2026 as Women's History Month in Upper Gwynedd Township and encourages all residents to celebrate and reflect upon the invaluable contributions of women in shaping our community and our nation, proclaimed this third day of March 2026. I'd like to make a motion to approve that proclamation. Can I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. As far as board comments go, I did want to make one additional comment. As we recognize Women's History Month, I want to just take a moment and thank the incredible women who serve our township every single day. Women's History Month is about honoring the trailblazers who opened doors before us, women who fought for the right to lead, vote, build careers, and shape their communities. Because of their courage and persistence, we stand on stronger ground today. The women working for our township are leaders, problem solvers, public servants, and role models. You keep our operations running, you support our residents with professionalism and care, and you bring strength, intelligence, and integrity to everything you do. Thank you for your commitment to this community. Thank you for your leadership, and thank you for continuing to shape the future of our township. Are there any other board comments? Any public comments? Deanna, will you please do the roll call? I apologize. All in favor? Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Back to you, Megan.
And then next week, we will have a resolution approving the employee contributions to our police pension plan. Currently, our police employees contribute 2.75% to their police pension. Since this is lower than the 5% permitted by the First Class Township Code, annually, we need to adopt a resolution, and this 2.5% is determined during police negotiations. We will also have another annual resolution, which is our records for disposition. These are records that we are allowed to destroy in accordance with the Municipal Records Manual. So if you click on the link, there are a number of records listed for destruction that range from 1996 to 2023. And does anybody have any questions? And then we'll also have this evening, if there is any discussion of the mission and vision statement. Last year, the board had authorized a revision to the township's mission and vision statements. So included in the packet, if you click the link, we do have the report that was done by our consultant. So the proposed mission and vision statements that are included in this, these are a result of the input that the board gave department heads, members of our volunteer boards, and also there was a public survey put out. So we would be looking for a motion next week if the board is in agreement with this, if they're satisfied with these statements, or if you have any feedback this evening on the statements.
I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who developed this. It was a lot of work going into the new mission and new vision statement, and I think we got 171 participants on the survey, which is pretty great. So thank you to everyone that gave their feedback, and then also to Stephanie Cools for leading us through this process.
I am so excited about it. I think it's wonderful. And I'm so excited so many people collaborated to get there. And I really am in love with it. I think it's really great. And we started from nothing, and I love all the layering that happened and all of the organizing, and Stephanie helped us so much. And I'm just really excited for us to be able to roll it out.
Does any other board members have any comments or feedback? So this will get placed on the next agenda if everyone is in agreement with it. And then under Vice President Hull's section next week, we'll have a resolution approving the volunteer stipend. This is setting the 2025 annual stipend for qualified EMS and fire volunteers, and this stipend amount is $500. We do have a decision again this evening, and this is for the ratification of a purchase that was made for a custom cabinet for our deputy fire marshal's vehicle, and that's in the amount of $5,745.
I'd like to make a motion to ratify this purchase of a custom cabinet for the fire marshal's office vehicle in the amount of $5,745. Can I have a second? A motion and a second. Are there any board comments?
Just Megan said deputy, you said fire marshal, so which vehicle is it? Is it the deputies or the
Let me double check that.
In the
deputies?
But it's the fire marshal's office. That's the way the motion.
That's correct. So it is for the deputy fire marshal, but it's for the fire marshal's office.
Not his vehicle? Oh, I thought it was stating that his vehicle was his office. You know, all that stuff.
I was
All that stuff
reading
on-
it as the vehicle is under the jurisdiction of the fire marshal's office.
Right. Okay. So I thought it was all that stuff that they put in their cars. No, I did.
It is. It's for the vehicle, right, Megan?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So
In the documentation with regard to this agenda item, it says it's a cabinet for the new fire marshal office vehicle by Marriott's Emergency Equipment. So I think they just want to retrofit or outfit the bed of the truck in order to provide storage for the equipment and necessary things they take with them to the sites.
any public comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
And then under Commissioner Carter's section, we'll have the approval of an agreement for, it's an encroachment agreement for a property on 1913 Armstrong Drive. The property's fence is encroaching onto some of township open space. And then under Commissioner Mole's section, we have received a quote from Guidemark for our line painting in the amount of $18,796.80. We did obtain 3 quotes, and this was the lowest quote, and this is for the line painting throughout the township. We will also have the authorization to advertise a bid for backup generators for our public works garages. And these backup generators, they'll ensure that in the event of a power outage, the public works can still use their fuel pumps and can still use access to the garage doors there. And this was an item that was included in the 2026 capital plan. Does anybody have any questions? That brings us to another decision item, and this is for the ratification of a landowner grantee agreement, and this is with Wissahickon Trails. The board had previously approved a letter of support of Wissahickon Trails for a grant application, and this was for a watershed project over on Elm Avenue. Since the township does own a large portion of that project, they would be seeking approval to be able to have access to our land. And this would be for just the engineering and the planning of this project. And this was identified as a project that the township in the past did want to pursue. And this will be fully grant funded through Wissahickon Trails.
This is item number 23, right? I
Did I
think
skip one?
we skipped 21 and 22. That's fine. We can, if we want, we can do 23
Oh,
first.
I'm
and go back to them.
sorry.
You're fine. If you want, I can do this one now, and then we can go back to 21 and 22.
Okay, thank you, Rebecca.
Is that okay? I should have asked. That's okay. I'd like to make a motion to ratify the landowner agreement between Upper Gwynedd Township and the Wissahickon Trails for the Elm Avenue Wetland Planning Project. May I have a second?
So moved.
Motion and a second. Are there any board comments? Any public comments? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump over those. So we will also have the approval of a proposal for a 2026 Peterbilt truck chassis, and this is to go with our dump body that was approved at the January meeting, and that's in the amount of $148,942. And then we have another decision this evening. This is for authorization to advertise our stormwater equipment bid with labor. This is another project that we do on an annual basis, and this is for our larger stormwater projects. The contract that we currently have will be expiring at the end of May, so we would need to put this out to bid again.
I'd like to make a motion to authorize the advertisement of the stormwater equipment bid with labor. May I have a second?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any board comments? Any public comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
And then under Commissioner Carter's section, there will be approval sought for the Boy Scouts are looking to store a shed behind the community center on township property. This next one will answer Dennis's question. We are looking for the approval of a design proposal from Boyle Construction for 1908 West Point Pike in the amount of $174,740. And this is for the recently acquired property. This would just be for engineering and plan design for going forward with what we would do with that property. And it is a little bit over budget. We had budgeted $150,000 for this planning. However, we are going after grant funding, which we hope we will receive. And we will also be able to cover this in the budget as well. And we could also decide to just do a portion of the planning in 2026 and have that 25K go over into 2027. Does anybody have any questions on that one?
Are they making a presentation?
No, they will not be making a presentation. This would be for the planning, and then after they would have like architectural renderings, that's when they would present those. And this would likely be a 2027 project, and 2026 would be more of the design. As Nick had mentioned, we'll also have the Parks and Recreation, the Pole Barn Bid Award. Those bids are due on March 4th. And then we have another decision item this evening. It's a motion to ratify bamboo removal that occurred along Haynes Drive. And this is in the amount of $49,189.27. I do just want to note that this project was done partially on township open space and partially on privately owned land that were adjacent to our open space. So the township, although we're paying this full amount now, we will be reimbursed 40%, which was the land that was the private property owner owned. They will be reimbursing us that 40%.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to ratify the bamboo removal along Haynes Drive by Realty Landscaping in the amount of $49,189.27. May I have a second?
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. Are there any board comments? Any public comments? Deanna, will you please do the roll call?
President Moody,
Aye.
Vice President Hall,
Aye.
Commissioner Carter,
Aye.
Commissioner Mall.
Motion passes.
And then next week, under President Moody's section in the wastewater treatment plant, these two items are related to one another. So we will be seeking the board's approval of a small water and sewer grant contract in the amount of $300,000. And this funding will be used for the next item, which is the installation of the CIP liners and the vacuums for defective sanitary sewer mains. And this was a project that was already budgeted for, so this $300,000 will offset the amount that was budgeted for. So that's exciting, and this will be part of the wastewater treatment plant's inflow and infiltration program, and this is their efforts to keep the stormwater and the groundwater from entering our sanitary sewer system. Does anybody have any questions on that? And then next week, we'll also have the approval of the March open and paid invoices.
Thank you, Megan. I think we have one more request for comment. Go ahead, Commissioner Hall.
I just wanted to do a little plug again for our fire department. They are hosting their third annual trivia night by the Quizzo guys. And this date is quickly approaching, Saturday, March 21st. Doors open at 6 p.m. You can register on their Facebook page or their website. They really, remember, they're an all-volunteer fire department, so they could really use your support. And if you can't come, you could always make a donation. And speaking of donations, we are still collecting for Man on Main Street. We will continue to do that. Their website has a lot of very specific items that they need, or if you just want to drop a couple things that you think would be helpful off in our front main entrance lobby, that would be amazing. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Commissioner Hall. If there's nothing else, this meeting is adjourned.